high school. We mentioned the other day, CBCA's rolling. We talked about rankings. They were sitting at 7. Well, there's a new ranking that came out, and it is the RPI ranking. All right. So I had to look up exactly what this is. So it's max prep, and it is a rating percentage index. Okay. So that $10 word, that phrase or whatever, really what that means is they take obviously the wins and the losses of the team, but then they take the opponent's win percentage and the opponent's win percentage, calculate that all together, and you got this new ranking system. So OHSAA just adopted this like last fall. So it's rather new, but all these rankings that we were excited about, a few teams we mentioned, I think that we got to give a shout out. So I'm going to go ahead and read it off with just some notables. Division 1, who do we think the number 1 team is? I mentioned on Tuesday, St. Ignatius up north in Cuyahoga County was it, but it's our very own, 330 Louisville. Louisville is the number 1 ranked team per RPI rankings in Division 1. Ignatius comes in too, so that list starts. But notable ones from around the area: Massillon, number 6. Glen Oak is number 10. Barberton, there it is. We mentioned them the other day. Barberton is sitting at 11. Dover sitting at 13. Greene at 14. Hudson, 15. Stowe's at 16. Jackson, down there in Canton, they are at 17. McKinley wraps up the top 20 at 19. So out of Division 1, very heavily represented. Sitting outside of that, a few notables: St. V. Hoban, Walsh is outside there. Garfield, Akron Garfield's having a nice little year so far. It's tough to be able to pay attention to everybody, but 7-3 for Garfield, doing some real nice things. Kent Roosevelt, Aurora, few to wrap up that. Moving over to Division 2. The number 1 team leading out of that is Lutheran West, which is up north as well. But CVCA slides into number 2 in the RPI rankings. Followed in behind Ursuline at 4, Canfield at 5, Poland Seminary at 6. West Branch, they wrap it up at in the top 10, along with Northwest, both respectively at 8 and 9. Norton is in at 10. And then also scrolling down, we have Buchtel at 16. Coventry is in at 22, and Canton South is 24. So that wraps up the top 25 for those as well in the Division 2. Moving over to Division 3, we got Cardinal Mooning in at 3. Canton Central Catholic at 6. South Range at 9. Southeast, which is out in Ravenna, they're sitting in at the 11th spot. Manchester Panthers at number 19. Waterloo at 20. And that wraps up kind of the top 25 for 330 teams. You guys can go ahead and do this. If you go in, you just Google search it, RPI Ohio rankings, you'll be able to pull those up. Division 4 for the boys basketball, scrolling down, Mogador starts it off, the first team for 330 at number 7. East Kent picks up at number 8. Dalton is in at 19. And Medina Christian Academy, we got to remember that's they don't have a football team, but they do have a basketball team. So let's give them a little bit of love. Division 1, Archbishop Hoban girls, ranked number 1. The Lady Knights are getting it going for sure, 10-1. Wrapping up in the top 5, Lake out of Uniontown, they are sitting at the 5 spot. Jackson is in at 9. Stowe girls is at an 11. Louisville got a heck of a basketball program going on there across the board between the boys and girls, because they're sitting at the 12 spot. Medina's 14, Wadsworth 15, Massillon 17. Scrolling down, Green Bulldogs. They've had a real nice week, boys and girls. I actually caught there was a young lady out there at Green, and she set the record for steals, and then I believe she set the record for rebounds. So that I have to get that name, and I apologize. It just kind of dawned on me because I remember seeing it. I will make sure I get that name. If anybody knows it in the comments, please share. Would love to make sure that I don't butcher the name. And Mike Voorhees is already obviously Mike, you should have called in because I'm going to get there, man. I appreciate it. Mike didn't even let me segue it. And then we had Highland wrapping up 25 in Division One for the ladies. Division Two, St. Vincent St. Mary with Coach Whitney sitting on top. They've had a real nice week as well. They just edged out, as I had said on here earlier, the Gilmore team, 37-30. Copley's in at 3. West Branch is in at 5. Streetsboro 7. Cuyahoga Valley Christian Academy. I think we're starting to see some basketball factories here, ladies and gentlemen, if we're noticing the trend. They're sitting in at 9. Aurora's in at 12. Norton in at 16. Canton South 17. Canfield 18. Talmadge 19. Youngstown Ursuline at 21. Field at 23. That wraps up your Division 1, or I'm sorry, Division 2. Division 3, Chippewa Chips. Ladies, you are number 4. Rootstown is in at 6. Scrolling through. Tuslaw is with us. 17. They're at 17. Poland Seminary 21. 22 is Norwayne. 23 is Southeast. Making sure that I didn't miss anybody. That wraps up that. In Division 4, scrolling through, I apologize. I am looking off to the side, so the eye contact has been very poor this morning with you engaged viewers. Number 10, Mogador. They started off there in the Division 4. Canton Central Catholic is in at 12. Dalton is in at 16. East Canton is in at 20. Aquinas is in at 24. And that wraps that up. And again, you guys can go and look that up, but it's the RPI that's going to be changing. I think that, in my opinion, has probably already changed because we had games last night. And again, they're taking the opponent's percentage and across the board. So with that being said, but as Mike had mentioned, shout outs with the high school. Coach Kinsley, 400 wins at Green. Remarkable accomplishment. I know when Green had moved over to the Federal League some years back, we're almost creeping up into 10 years at this point. People wondered, would Green be able to adjust coming from the suburban over to the Federal? I think that 400 wins gives you that answer very quickly. And a lot of that is, just the program that he's built over there. It's all the way down into the youth level. There it is. Joe Vorhos, right on point. Great youth program. Any thoughts? Absolutely. I think the program is very good, especially on the girls' side. I happen to know a few of the gentlemen that get the opportunity to coach at the youth level. They do a remarkable job. A lot of energy, sweat, blood, tears, time goes into that. So shout out to Green's sports program youth across the board. That's obviously putting it in all those schools for that fact of matter. CVCA, we noticed we had boys and girls both in top rankings as well. St. V, a little bit outside with the boys, outside the top 25, but the girls are sitting at number 1, and same with Hobart as well, along with the other Northwest, Manchester. So a lot of great programs definitely making an impact as they move into the 2024 year.